Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are focusing on something that is so widely shared, yet it can feel profoundly, profoundly isolating. We're talking about anxiety. If you've ever felt that knot in your stomach, or your heart starts racing, or just that relentless churn of worry, then you know exactly what we're talking about.
It's almost a universal language at this point.
It really is. And the source material we're using for this deep dive is, well, it's wonderfully concise. It really just cuts through all the heavy theory, all the complexity, and it offers a set of incredibly simple, actionable steps.
Almost deceptively simple.
Exactly, deceptively simple. And our mission today is to unpack those.
Right. We want to give you the blueprint, the shortcut to understanding the mechanism behind these simple actions. So we're not just going to tell you what to do. We're analyzing the cognitive science, the neurology, and the psychology of why putting your hand on your chest or making a cup of tea can actually interrupt a panic spiral.
It sounds almost too simple to be true.
It does.
Yeah.
But we want you to understand the foundational power of these techniques so you can, deploy them with real confidence.
We're providing the underlying infrastructure for self-calming because, and the source material opens with this, it says, many people feel anxious.
And that's the starting point, normalization.
It's not a sign of personal failure. It's a shared human response. So our goal isn't this impossible task of eliminating anxiety entirely.
No, not at all.
It's to equip you with the knowledge to control it, to, turn down the volume when it gets too loud.
And we're going to start by establishing a really clear definition. We're looking at anxiety as fundamentally a feeling of worry.
Okay.
And that worry is driven by the mind thinking about something bad that might happen. So it's inherently a future-oriented state.
Always about what's next.
Always. Your body is reacting right now to a threat that hasn't even materialized. And so every single step we're going to discuss today is designed to do one thing.
Then what's that?
To pull the mind and the body back to the verifiable reality of this moment. The present.
Okay, let's start there. Let's start with that bedrock definition. Anxiety is a feeling of worry.
Right.
But what elevates this from just, simple concern to actual anxiety is that persistent mental part, the way the mind gets stuck.
It gets stuck in a loop.
Yes, a loop. It's this continuous dwelling on future negative possibilities, that constant low-level buzz of thinking about something bad that might happen. It's the anticipation that traps you, not the event itself.
And that anticipation has a name. It's what we call catastrophic thinking.
Catastrophic thinking.
Yeah, the mind is essentially running a predictive failure analysis on loop. It's constantly filtering out all evidence of success or safety and only looking for the worst-case scenario.
And why does it do that? It feels so counterproductive.
Well, what's key to remember here is that anxiety, evolutionarily speaking, is a survival mechanism.
Right, the whole fight or flight thing.
Exactly. Our brains have entirely updated from the days when danger meant, a predator in the bushes.
A saber-toothed tiger.
Right. And back then, anticipation was a lifesaver. It kept you alive. But now, when the threat is a looming deadline or a difficult conversation or a financial worry,
the brain still pulls the same lever.
It pulls the exact same fight or flight lever. It doesn't really distinguish the level of threat.
And so the body is the first responder, isn't it? That mental loop, it just instantly triggers a physiological cascade. It forces you out of neutral and into a state of, physical alert.
Immediately. The physiological signs that are listed in the text are the classic symptoms of this ancient alarm system.
Okay, what are they?
Your heart beats fast. Your body feels tight. You cannot relax.
The big three.
They're the three pillars of what's called sympathetic nervous system activation. So the fast heartbeat, that's your brain dumping adrenaline and cortisol into your bloodstream.
Gearing you up.
It's increasing blood flow to the large muscle groups to prepare for rapid movement, to run or to fight.
And the tightness. I always feel that in my chest and shoulders.
That's genuine muscle tension. Often in the chest, shoulders, jaw, or stomach.
Yeah.
Your body is literally bracing for impact.
And the inability to relax.
That's your nervous system prioritizing high alert scanning over, repair and restoration.
Yeah.
You're on guard. Your whole system is saying, no time to rest. Danger is imminent.
So it's a full body confirmation that the threat is real.
Yes.
Even if we know, logically, that the threat is just an email we have to send.
Exactly. And this is the critical implication here. Anxiety is not just some mental glitch.
Right.
It is a full body experience. It begins as a thought, but it very rapidly becomes a self-reinforcing physical reality.
So your body starts screaming danger.
And if your body is already screaming danger through a racing heart, your mind has very, very little chance of successfully reasoning, no, this is fine.
The physical noise is just too loud.
It drowns out logic completely.
So if the simple steps we're about to cover are going to be effective, then they must address both the racing thought and the pounding heart at the same time.
Simultaneously. A thought-only solution is going to fail if the body is still in fight or flight mode. You have to intervene at both levels.
It's a vicious cycle then.
It's the definition of vicious cycle. The thought initiates the physical symptoms, that's top-down, and then the physical symptoms reinforce the original thought. That's bottom-up.
Confirming the threat.
It confirms the perceived threat and makes that thought loop even stickier. So breaking this requires interrupting the physical alarm first. Then you can address the cognitive content.
Before we get to that interruption, we have to zoom in on what might be the most crucial line in this entire section, especially for a listener who feels, ashamed of their anxiety.
I know exactly the line you mean.
The source emphasizes it is normal. Everyone feels it sometimes.
That simple sentence.
Yeah.
It acts as an immediate psychological demilitarization.
Demilitarization, I like that.
Because anxiety is so often accompanied by a secondary stressor.
Which is?
Self-criticism.
Yeah.
We tell ourselves, I should be stronger. I'm weak for feeling this way. I can't handle stress like everyone else.
Oh, yeah. The self-judgment.
And that compounds the original distress. It's literally worry about the worry.
It's internal shaming layered right on top of the physiological panic.
Yes. So by acknowledging it is normal, the source material immediately removes that heavy burden of shame. It reframes anxiety not as a character flaw, but as a temporary, intense, but, manageable state of nervous system arousal.
That's a huge shift in perspective.
It is. This normalization sets a realistic expectation. The goal is not total eradication. That's impossible. The goal is modulation.
So, learning simple things you can do to calm yourself.
Exactly. It emphasizes agency and control rather than, helplessness in the face of this overwhelming feeling. This is the foundation of resilience, accepting the feeling without letting it define or disable you.
That distinction, management versus elimination, that is so powerful. It makes the task feel achievable.
It does, and it prepares us perfectly for the very first step, which is a direct physical challenge to the body's alarm system.
Okay, let's look at the immediate emergency brake. Step 1. The instruction is so sharp and intentional. When you feel anxious, stop for a moment. It sounds easy, but that intentional interruption, that act of stopping the emotional freight train, that requires conscious effort, doesn't it?
It demands what we call metacognitive awareness.
Okay, what's that?
It's the ability to observe your own thought and your own physical state and say, wait a minute, this is my anxiety starting.
You have to catch it.
You have to catch it because anxiety thrives on speed, on momentum, on automatism. We go straight from the thought to the physical panic without any intervention. The moment you introduce the word stop, you're engaging the rational executive function of your brain.
The logical part.
Yes, to override the reflexive emotional response. It's the very first act of defiance against the panic cycle.
And then the active response that's prescribed is breath work, but it's done with a very specific grounding technique. The source says, put your hand on your chest, take a slow breath in, and a slow breath out. Do this 3 or 4 times. Tell us scientifically what's going on there. Why the specific physical anchor of the hand on the chest?
So the hand on the chest serves a triple function, and it's much more than just a tactile signal.
Okay.
First, it forces your attention onto the breath itself. When we panic, our breath is really shallow and high. We're breathing with our upper chest.
I know that feeling. It feels like you can't get enough air.
Exactly. And that feeling reinforces the feeling of danger and hyperventilation. The hand gives you biofeedback. You can actually feel where the breath is going. And the goal is to move that breathing lower into the diaphragm.
So it's a nonverbal cue to breathe deeper. It's almost like a self-correction tool?
Precisely. The second function is that the hand on the chest is a profound grounding tool.
Grounding.
When your mind is spinning, it's lost in the future abstract. Placing a hand on your body, that moment of self-touch, is an immediate introduction of proprioception.
Okay, another big word. Proprioception.
It just means your sense of your own body's position and movement. It anchors you to the verifiable reality of your physical self right now. You feel the warmth, the pressure, the slow rising and falling of your chest.
So it pulls you out of the abstract vortex of what if.
And into the concrete reality of what is. It's a physical interrupt to the racing mind. and it counteracts that feeling of being completely unmoored and out of control.
And the third function, you said there were three.
The third, and this is the most vital, is the mechanism of the slow breath. The source emphasizes slow, not necessarily maximizing depth. The rhythm is what matters most.
Why rhythm?
The goal is to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the body's rest and digest mode.
The opposite of fight or flight.
The exact opposite. And this is largely managed by something called the vagus nerve,
Like
which runs like a superhighway from your brainstem through your chest down to your abdomen.
I've heard of the vagus nerve. I think of it as the body's slow-down cable.
That's a perfect analogy. When you breathe slowly, and especially when you extend the exhale, you manually stimulate that vagus nerve. This is the biological shortcut.
A shortcut. I like that.
Controlled breathing communicates to your brainstem via the vagus nerve that the threat has passed. The slow, rhythmic input counteracts the rapid, erratic input of the panic state. And this controlled rhythm immediately begins to normalize your heart rate and lower your blood pressure.
Which brings us to the key promise the source makes. Slow breathing tells your brain everything is okay. I mean, how does something so simple override a catastrophic panic response?
It overrides the emotional brain by providing undeniable physical evidence. Think of your brain as a hyper-vigilant security guard.
Okay.
When that security guard gets input that the alarm is blaring, fast heart, ragged breathing, it confirms the threat. It says, yep, red alert. But when you intentionally slow the breath, the security guard gets new input.
A status update.
A status update. The heart rate is slowing down, the muscles are softening, the breathing is regular, the guard is forced to update the status. The threat level is clearly not as high as previously assessed.
So you're correcting the body's false communication to the mind.
Yes, the body is the foundation. If the body reports calm, the mind is much, much more willing to follow suit. And this reduction in physiological arousal initiates the physical relaxation process. Your body will start to relax.
And it only takes 3 or 4 breaths.
The beauty is that it only requires 3 or 4 cycles. It's an immediate, portable tool that uses your own biology, the most fundamental system, to cool down the psychological fire. If we can just get those 4 breaths in, we have bought ourselves enough time and stability to move to the next steps.
Now let's address a common listener challenge, because I can hear people thinking this. What if you try to breathe slowly, but you feel more stressed because you're so focused on doing it right?
That's a fantastic point and a really common pitfall. The anxiety itself makes us feel like we're fighting for air, right? So trying to control the breath can feel like a contradiction.
It can feel like you're suffocating.
It can. The key here is non-perfection. The simple instruction of slow breath in, slow breath out is enough. You don't need to worry about hitting a 4, 7, 8 count or breathing perfectly into your stomach.
Just aim for slower.
Simply aim to make the exhale noticeably longer than the inhale. The lengthening of the exhale is the most effective vagal brake. Even a slightly slower breath is a victory.
Why is that a victory?
Because it introduces intentionality and choice into a moment of pure reflex. If you can only manage one slightly slower breath, that's still a moment of metacognitive choice that interrupts the panic momentum.
So once the body has been physically reset by the breath, we can finally engage the cognitive component, which is step 2.
Exactly. And the source material captures the core problem beautifully. Anxiety makes your thoughts negative.
And these thoughts, they're not just generic sadness. They are active scripts designed to terrify us. The source gives 2 examples: I can't do this, or the grander, more paralyzing one, something bad will happen.
Those are the internal villains. They're what keep the panic cycle spinning, even after our heart rate has dropped a little bit from the breathing.
So why do those thoughts feel so powerful and so true in the moment?
They are the manifestation of confirmation bias. When your brain is on high alert, it is wired to filter information only for evidence that confirms the negative forecast.
So if you're worried about failure,
your brain only surfaces memories of past failures. If you're worried about illness, every little headache becomes a sign of catastrophe. These thoughts feel overwhelmingly true because the emotional brain, the limbic system, is in charge.
and the logical part of the brain.
The logical prefrontal cortex is basically offline. It's conserving energy for the perceived emergency.
So if the logical brain is offline, we can't engage in complex reasoning. Trying to argue with the thought using logic is like, I don't know, trying to reason with a computer that only has 5% battery left.
That's the perfect analogy. You can't run complex philosophical programs on a device that's running on emergency power.
Right.
And therefore, the prescription has to be elegant in its simplicity. It has to be something that works on low power.
And that prescription is saying something simple and positive.
Exactly. The source suggests 3 perfect examples. I am safe, I can handle this, and I will be okay.
Okay, why are these short declarative sentences so much more effective than, a long internal monologue trying to prove the thought wrong?
Because they require 0 executive function. They are short enough to break through the negative noise instantly. They are assertive, simple counter-narratives.
Let's take the first one. I am safe.
Okay, so anxiety is the pervasive feeling of not being safe.
Right.
By asserting, I am safe, you are speaking an undeniable truth in the present moment. You are most likely sitting down, you are breathing, you are not actively being pursued by a threat.
So it's a verbal anchor to the present, countering the future-oriented negativity of anxiety.
It acts as a cognitive interrupt, and this is key. We are not aiming for deep, heartfelt belief in that moment.
We're not, because it can feel like you're lying to yourself.
It can, but the goal isn't belief, it's interruption. We're aiming for a momentary pause and redirection. Your brain is highly suggestible.
So just by repeating it.
By repeating a simple positive phrase, even if it feels hollow at first, you are building a new, temporary neural pathway that competes with the anxious script.
And it helps that we've already done step 1, the breathing.
It's crucial. If the body has already signaled safety through the slow breathing of step 1, the brain now has less physical evidence to completely refute the statement, I am safe. The body and the mind are starting to align.
So the magic isn't in convincing yourself that everything is instantly perfect. It's in replacing the paralyzing negative script with an empowering, non-paralyzing alternative, even for just a moment.
Exactly. It shifts the brain from being a passive victim of the internal catastrophe script to an active participant in choosing an alternative perspective. And repetition is key here.
Why repetition?
The brain loves repetition. The anxious thought became powerful because it was repeated over and over. We leverage that exact same mechanism by repeating the positive sentence 3 or 4 times. This is cognitive restructuring in its most basic, accessible form.
It gives your mind a break.
It allows the mind a temporary respite from the self-criticism and the future prediction.
And that respite, I assume, sets the stage for action, which is what step 3 is all about. We've calmed the body, we've injected a positive thought, now we need motion.
We need to re-engage with the world.
Right. So step 3 deals with that feeling of mental saturation. The source uses the phrase, when your mind feels too full. I know that feeling. It's when anxiety has filled your entire cognitive capacity and you get this mental paralysis. The inability to move or choose a productive next step.
That too full feeling is the direct result of your brain trying to process too many simulated future threats all at the same time.
It's cognitive overload.
It's extreme cognitive load. The brain is locked in the abstract future, just cycling 2 possibilities, and this jams its operating system. This is why people experiencing high anxiety often feel incapable of doing even the most basic chores.
All the energy is being used internally.
All the energy is being used for worry simulation.
And the prescription for this is wonderfully grounded and, well, mundane. The specific examples are powerful in their simplicity. Make tea, clean your desk, write a short note.
Let's look closely at why these specific tasks are recommended. They're examples of what we call behavioral activation.
Behavioral activation.
They require minimal cognitive load but maximum sensory engagement. And they're discrete.
What do you mean by discrete?
They have a clear beginning, a middle, and an end that can be achieved within, say, 5 or 10 minutes. Success is basically guaranteed.
And that's a crucial win when anxiety is making you feel incompetent.
A huge win. These tasks also demand a different part of the brain, don't they? Instead of the abstract worry system, you're engaging your motor cortex and your sensory processing.
So actually doing something physical.
Absolutely. Making tea requires sequencing and motor skills, feeling the weight of the kettle, smelling the steam, coordinating the movement of the cup.
Or cleaning a desk.
Cleaning a desk provides instant, tangible visual and tactile feedback. These tasks force the brain out of the abstract worry center and into the concrete world of physical objects and immediate sensory input.
So you're redirecting the brain's energy.
From internal simulation to external execution.
So if a listener is struggling, maybe they could try something even smaller, like folding 1 piece of laundry or organizing just 5 books on a shelf.
Washing 1 dish.
Yes.
Those are perfect examples. The task must be so small that there is 0 barrier to entry. If you tell yourself, I need to clean the entire kitchen, that just becomes a new source of stress.
Another thing to fail at.
But if you tell yourself, I'm going to wash 1 spoon, That is achievable regardless of your anxiety level. And that small, successful action serves as behavioral counter-evidence to the negative thought, I can't do anything.
I love that. Behavioral counter-evidence. The source material focuses on the dual effects of this. It says, doing one small task helps your mind slow down, and it brings you back to the present moment.
The slowing down is the direct result of the brain being forced into a focused, linear activity. You are imposing pace and structure where anxiety thrives on chaos and speed.
You're taking back control of the rhythm.
And the small, tangible result, the hot cup of tea, the clear space on the desk, serves as a powerful psychological anchor. You have generated a positive, verifiable outcome through your own effort. This is micromastery.
And that anchor, that physical reality, is the total opposite of anxiety. Anxiety lives in the hypothetical, in the future. A small task forces you into the here and now.
It's active presence. It's a form of applied mindfulness where your object of focus is not your breath, but a chore. And this redirection is incredibly effective in starting the worry loop of the attention it needs to perpetuate itself.
The brain needs something to focus on.
It does. And if it's not the worry, it can be the simple, contained sequence of preparing a warm beverage. This temporary shift provides essential cognitive relief.
This step makes so much sense because anxiety often pushes people toward inaction and avoidance. This is the prescription for purposeful, small action.
Precisely. Which moves us from internal self-management to external connection. Step 4 is all about dismantling the protective barrier that anxiety loves to build.
Isolation?
Yes. The warning is very clear. Anxiety becomes stronger when you stay alone with your thoughts.
That is such a vital observation. When you're alone, the thoughts just cycle and magnify. They become unchallenged, absolute truths. Without any external input, there's no way to regulate the intensity.
That magnification process is exactly what makes isolation so dangerous in moments of acute stress. The internal monologue is treated by the brain as compelling evidence.
So if your mind hears the catastrophic script repeated 50 times in isolation,
the threat moves from possible to certain in your mind. The silence and the physical isolation just reinforce the feeling that the danger is unique to you, that you are facing it completely alone.
So the directive is simple. Talking helps. And I like that the source broadens who to talk to. It's not just experts. It says a friend, a family member, or anyone you trust.
The primary requirement is trust and safety. Trust is non-negotiable here.
Why?
Because this step is about shared vulnerability, not receiving expert advice. The trusted person doesn't need to fix your anxiety or offer a solution. They just need to be a safe, non-judgmental container for it.
Because if you share with someone who dismisses your feeling,
you introduce shame and criticism, which completely undermines the entire goal of this step. It makes it worse.
And the bar for communication is intentionally low, isn't it? You don't need to explain the intricate details of your worry.
No.
The necessary statement is just externalizing the feeling. I feel anxious. That's it.
That is the essential act of externalization. You are taking this intangible, overwhelming emotion and giving it structure and volume and a boundary just by speaking it aloud to another human being.
The moment it leaves your head.
The moment the thought leaves your head and enters the shared external world, it immediately loses some of its terrifying absolute power. It becomes an object that can be observed, rather than an internal, suffocating reality.
And I've definitely felt that immediate sense of lightness when you share something overwhelming.
That sense of lightness is the relief of emotional offloading. You're engaging in what psychologists call co-regulation.
Co-regulation.
When you communicate your distress to a trusted, calm person, their presence and their calm nervous system can help downregulate your own. It reminds your nervous system that you are connected and supported.
Which is the direct opposite of the existential isolation that fuels panic.
The absolute opposite.
So even if the friend just says, wow, I hear you, that sounds really rough, that simple act of witnessing, of being heard, can start to deflate the anxiety.
It provides validation, and validation is the antidote to shame and isolation. The moment someone acknowledges your feeling without judging it, the perceived threat of being overwhelmed and alone instantly drops.
It's more effective than trying to argue with yourself logically.
Often, yes, much more rapidly. It reminds you that the feeling, though intense, is normal, and that you have resources outside of your own tasked mind.
It's the simple act of connection breaking the spell of isolation that anxiety casts.
Beautifully put.
Okay, so we've covered immediate crisis management breathing, positive self-talk, small action, and reaching out. Step 5 is the crucial pivot to long-term resilience.
Yes, the foundational work.
And it starts by addressing that internal critic again. The source reminds us, anxiety does not mean you are weak. It means you are human.
This step reframes your entire relationship with anxiety. If we can accept that anxiety is a normal, though uncomfortable, part of being human, then the only sensible response is compassion.
Self-compassion.
Yes. The core instruction, be gentle with yourself, is the fundamental practice that prevents momentary anxiety from morphing into chronic stress, shame, and burnout. Self-kindness allows for acceptance and recovery rather than a constant internal battle.
And this self-kindness translates into practical physical maintenance. The source outlines the 4 pillars of habit that strengthen the mind. Rest when you need to. Sleep well. Eat healthy food. Move your body.
These are not optional extras. They are the required infrastructure for a resilient nervous system.
Infrastructure, I like that.
When your body's functioning at a suboptimal level, sleep deprived, running on high sugar fuel, or physically stagnant, our baseline level of emotional stability plummets. I like to think of it as running your phone on a half-charged battery.
Everything is harder. You're hyperreactive, easily irritated, and the smallest push sends you into a red line state.
Precisely. If you are starting the day sleep deprived, your body is already in a mild state of physiological stress. This low baseline drastically lowers your stress threshold.
So that unexpected email or traffic jam?
It instantly triggers a full-blown panic response because your system is already running on empty. A well-rested, properly fueled person might experience irritation. A depleted person experiences catastrophic overwhelm.
Let's look closer at the importance of sleep and movement, because those often feel like the first things to go when anxiety hits.
It's a paradox, isn't it? They're the first to go and the most needed. Sleep well is perhaps the most fundamental pillar.
Why sleep?
During deep sleep, your brain is actively clearing out metabolic waste and consolidating emotional memory. Chronic poor sleep leaves the emotional centers of your brain, the amygdala, highly reactive.
So you're more easily triggered.
Much more. It also impairs the prefrontal cortex, that rational part of the brain we mentioned earlier, meaning our ability to logically deploy step 2 and step 3 is severely compromised.
And movement. The source says, move your body. If the anxiety response has flooded our body with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, movement is the natural completion of the stress cycle, right?
It is the biological release valve. If your body prepared for fight or flight, those chemicals, adrenaline and cortisol, are meant to fuel physical action.
But we're usually just sitting at our desk.
Exactly. So if you don't use them, they linger. And they cause that chronic tension, the jitters, the restlessness we associate with prolonged anxiety.
So moving helps get rid of them.
Movement, even moderate movement, like a brisk 15-minute walk or a brief stretch, allows the body to metabolize and clear those stress hormones. It signals to the brain that the physical energy reserves have been used and the alarm can finally be turned off.
You're physically forcing the completion of the biological threat response.
That's a perfect way to put it.
And eat healthy food. That stabilizes the foundation, ensuring that rapid blood sugar fluctuations don't mimic or exacerbate panic symptoms.
Stable blood sugar is critical. Sharp dips can cause lightheadedness, shakiness, irritability,
which all feel like anxiety.
Which the anxious brain can easily misinterpret as signs of internal catastrophe or impending collapse, thereby triggering a panic attack.
Wow.
So these habits, rest, sleep, food, movement, they aren't crisis management. They're resilience building. They're the essential maintenance that makes your mind stronger over time. You are creating a fortress against future overwhelming states by treating your physical self kindly in the present.
So this is a commitment to yourself.
Yeah.
It's acknowledging that using the simple steps in the moment is only half the battle.
The other half is ensuring your body has the resources to prevent the state from becoming acute in the first place.
What a journey. We started with the intense, overwhelming feeling of anxiety, and we've distilled it down into 5 foundational, accessible, and, well, profoundly effective actions. We've seen how these steps work sequentially. Establishing a physical calm through intentional breath.
Step 1.
Injecting a cognitive disruptor with a positive phrase.
Step 2.
Grounding the mind in the present through small, tangible action.
Step 3.
Reducing internal pressure through the vulnerability of talking.
Step 4.
And finally, fortifying your entire system with the kindness of physical care. Step 5.
It is a deliberate, multi-layered strategy for regaining agency. You are moving from a state of passive reaction to a state of active response.
You're taking control back.
You are. And each step works on a different component of the system, the physiological, the cognitive, the behavioral, and the social.
Yeah.
The power lies not just in the steps themselves, but in understanding that you have the tools to choose intervention over reaction.
And we have to conclude by reiterating the final message the source provides, which is so important. Anxiety may not go away in one day.
So important.
If we treat anxiety like a simple cold, we're setting ourselves up for failure. This is a practice.
That expectation management is vital. The goal is mastery, not perfection. You will have good days and you'll have bad days. But as the source material concludes, with small steps, you can learn to control it. You can learn to breathe, slow down, and feel calm again. The power lies in recognizing the feeling and choosing to execute just one of those simple steps.
Just one.
Just one. Understanding that a single slow breath, a single positive sentence, or a single moment of connection is often enough to break the paralyzing momentum of panic.
That intentional, effective simplicity is the key takeaway of this entire deep dive.
Which brings us to our final thought for you to consider. Reflect on the sheer contrast here.
Okay.
The massive complexity of an anxiety disorder, the intricate wiring of the nervous system, the rapid dumping of stress hormones, the total cognitive hijack, and then the extreme low-tech simplicity of the remedy.
A hand on your chest.
Putting a hand on your chest, saying 3 words, or cleaning a single surface. What does this profound mismatch tell us about the hidden power of conscious, present-moment intention? Does the mind truly need complex theory? Or does it simply need undeniable, tangible evidence delivered through the body that the present moment is safe? Hold on to that paradox of simplicity conquering complexity.
That is the ultimate deep dive into self-mastery. Thank you for joining us as we unpacked the mechanisms behind these vital, accessible tools for managing anxiety.
A real pleasure.
We hope this knowledge helps you feel better and approach your next moment of worry with a bit more calm and a lot more confidence.
Until next time.